again everyone, welcome back to my channel and welcome back to another speed build video in The Sims 4. Happy Monday, uploading on a Monday, very unusual for me. But I hope you're having the most amazing day ever and thank you so much for joining me here today. So today we are building in Henford-On-Bagley again because it feels like it's been a really long time since I've built in this world. In reality it's only been probably about a month. If you want to check out my cozy autumnal cottage, I will link it up in the right hand side of the screen right now. That is the last time I built in this world, and we're building a Homey family cottage today. 2 bedrooms, 2 bathrooms with a modern extension on the ground floor. So how are you guys? Are you all okay? I'm sounding and feeling much better than I was last week and the week before, so I suppose that's a good thing. I don't sound as nasally, I don't sound like I'm bunged up or full of cold, so that's awesome. I wanted to build this cottage in Henford-On-Bagley because it feels like it's been such a long time since I've worked in this world, and I'm going to pause for a reaction here, but this is the first time in a long time that I haven't actually worked from a reference image on Pinterest. Wow, right? Like I haven't done that in such a long time, so I pretty much just came up with the exterior for this house by myself, the interior floor plan, etc. as well, and you will see when we get up to, I'll let you know when it happens, but up to a certain part in the video we actually end up using some of the items from the new Blooming Rooms kit. So I started this build last week and then we got the pack about 5 days ago, so I thought I'd incorporate some of those new items with this house and I think they work really well. So I really like the modern extension on this house just on the ground floor here, and that is where the kitchen / dining room ends up being as well. There is a separate dining area in the open plan lounge area as well, which I think looks really nice, but I decided to turn that sort of modernish extension into a kitchen because I just think it worked really well. And you'll just see me here sort of trying to decide on the colour scheme for the house. I didn't really have one in mind when I started, but I kind of thought to myself I want to do something really soft, because a lot of my cottages before have been quite harsh colour schemes. So with this one I wanted to keep it quite creamy, quite light and bright, and just really soft. So this is what we ended up doing for this particular house. I'm actually really pleased with how it came out, considering I did not use a reference image. As I said before, it's been such a long time since I've just sat down and done a build from my own imagination and or memory, so this is quite a big deal for me. So you'll have to let me know down in the comments below what you think of this build, but I'm actually really happy with how it came out. Now we do end up making some small changes to both the exterior and interior off camera because I wanted this speed build to be quite short and sweet, and I didn't feel the need to include all of the changes that I made to the exterior and the interior, just because they're quite minor changes. So if you see some differences between the speed build footage and the screenshots, it's just because I decided to do some work off camera. It's nothing major, it's nothing massive, it's just some slight tweaks here and there that I wanted to include. So you'll see me here just trying to come up with a slightly different exterior structure because I felt like it was looking quite similar to some of the other cottages that I've done in the past, and so I wanted to do something a little bit different. And because I was going from memory and or imagination, I suppose you could call it, I just thought I could do pretty much whatever I wanted to with this. Usually I work from a reference image. With this house I decided not to. I just wanted to see what I could come up with, and I think I did an alright job considering that this is just grafted from memory. Now granted, it probably looks similar to some of the cottages that you've probably seen from other simmers, just because I think a lot of the cottages do have a similar vibe, but I tried to make it look slightly different with the different sort of features and what's the word I'm looking for, like design structures that I went for. I wanted it to be a little bit more outy, like it's slightly different from anything that I've ever done before, and maybe slightly different than anything that you've ever maybe seen in Henford-On-Bagley. Anyway, that's not important. So now we're working on the landscaping. As you can see, there is some foliage sort of crawling up the house because I wanted this house to look like it was part of the world, in that maybe the trees and the bushes had sort of engulfed the build itself. And so I just decided to put some exterior work here, so you'll see a lot of climbing ivy and a lot of just detailing from the Henford-On-Bagley. I was going to say the Henford-On-Bagley pack, I meant the Cottage living pack. So we use a lot of items from that pack in this build because of course we are working on the world that the game shipped with. So I thought it was appropriate to use some of those items, and so the exterior of the build is very nature filled, I suppose you could say. I really wanted it to just look like it was part of the world, and I didn't want it to look like it didn't belong there, because this lot is kind of out in the middle of nowhere, and it was really important for me to make it look like the lot belonged on this lot in this world. I hope that makes sense. If it doesn't, I apologise. You absolutely can, if you wanted to, place this lot in a different world. I don't think it would make too much of a difference, but my sort of design style was, let's make it look like it fits in the world for Henford-On-Bagley, because it is to this date, does that make sense? I feel like I'm really out of it with doing voiceovers, because I feel like the last couple of voiceovers that I've done, I was still poorly while I was doing them. So I feel like maybe I was slightly out of it. But I don't even know what I was saying. So I think I just wanted it to look like it was part of the world, and like I didn't want it to look like stand outish or like it didn't belong. So hopefully we achieve that with this, and again using a lot of items from the Cottage living pack to make it look like it belongs in this world. And I still absolutely love this world, apart from the lighting, which I think a lot of people share this frustration. The lighting in this world is incredibly blue-green toned, sorry. So I did end up using MCC Command Center to change the lighting, and the way I did that was to change it to a heat wave, because the red negates the blue-green tone, so it ends up looking a lot better. Anyway, now moving on to the interior. You guys don't need to concern yourselves with that. That's just definitely a very me thing. And I just smacked my hand on the desk, like, ow. So now we've moved on to the interior. You can see we're just trying to sort out the floor plan here. So this is the kitchen dining space. That's a small bathroom on the ground floor, and then on the right hand side is the living room and the dining room. So you'll see exactly what I mean when we get onto that part of the build, but we do start working on the kitchen first of all. I do these really nice floor to ceiling windows, because a lot of modern extensions include windows like this, and I wanted to differentiate this part of the build from the rest of the house, and I wanted it to look like it was a modern extension. So we ended up putting the kitchen in here. Initially I was thinking maybe we could include the living room in here as well, and sort of create this really nice open plan kitchen living space. We ended up pulling away from that just because when I started doing the kitchen, it was taking up a lot more room than I had originally anticipated, and so we use these countertops from Cottage living. I always want to call it country living, and I know it's not country living, it's cottage living. From the Cottage living pack, which I think look really nice in this blue swatch. I don't think I have used this swatch of these counters until now. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but I think this is the first time of me using the counters in this swatch. I think they're really nice. I love this sort of dark teal colour. Fun fact, I've actually been considering changing my kitchen counters in real life to a colour that's quite similar to this. I know it's very niche, and I know I'll probably grow sick of it quite quickly, but I really am living for the blues and the teals at the moment, and I don't know whether to just brave it and do it. My husband and I are kind of on the fence about it, but we'll see. We'll see. I might show him screenshots of this and be like, look, this looks good. Should we do this in our own kitchen? Anyway, not important. The kitchen actually came together relatively quickly, considering the size of the space. And what I wanted to do was make it very country-esque, but also really homey and really cozy, because I think what I'm going to call this build is a homey cottage, or homey family cottage, something like that. Cozy, homey, I don't know what to call it as of yet, but it is, although it's large and there's this really nice extension on the build, I think it's still really homey, it's really cozy, and it's really realistic actually. If you look at some of these older cottages, especially in the UK, a lot of people do opt for these more modern extensions with the floor to ceiling windows, and I just think it's really fitting for the current market and what people are currently doing. So I love doing these modern extensions. I have done another build where I did a modern extension. I will link that up in the right hand corner for you now as well, and I promise I will get my words out correctly throughout the duration of this speed build. I feel like I'm a little bit out of touch because it feels like I haven't done voiceovers consistently for quite some time. I did one 9 days ago, I did one 5 days ago, and now I'm doing one today. So I'm trying to get into some sort of upload schedule so that you guys have constant content to watch, but at the moment it's proving to be slightly difficult for me just because it's currently peak. We call it peak where I work, and I do work over Christmas, so my hours will increase, my work days will become longer, and so I'm just trying to pre-record as much as I can so that I can just sit down and do the editing and the voiceovers, etc., so that then at least I can be getting builds up as and when on the channel. We'll see how it goes. It's going okay so far, considering I did have a moment on my channel where I wasn't really uploading consistently because we did move house in real life, and so now that we're all settled in the new house, I feel like I can get back into some sort of schedule. I'm just trying to work out what that looks like for me and trying to tie it into my personal life. Anyway, this is the living room / dining area. You'll see exactly what I mean once we start working on the back of the room, but this bit here ends up being the living room, and I did this open archway from the hallway, and I just hit my arm again. Like, what is going on? Sorry if you can hear thuds and bumps. It's because I talk with my hands and I keep like hitting things. So I did this open archway from the hallway just to keep it a little bit more open, but this is the dining area, and I felt it was really important to include a slightly larger dining room table for this build because maybe the family that lives here are quite family oriented and they like hosting Christmas dinners and just random Sunday lunches with the family, and I thought it would be really nice for you Sims to have the option to sit at this formal dining table. Even though it is just off the living room and it's not sectioned off, I feel like in a cottage like this that's actually quite realistic. I haven't really studied any floor plans for cottages but floor plans for builds don't really need to make sense, and I've realised this because we've just moved into our new house, and our new house floor plan, it kind of makes sense but doesn't at the same time, and it works really, really, really well for us, but some people might walk in and think, well, this is weird. So we've got a bedroom. So we live in a 3-story house. So we've got a bedroom on the ground floor, and then we've got, in theory, 2 bedrooms on the very, very top floor, and both have en-suites. We've turned the second bedroom into an office, which is where I'm currently sat right now, but it does have an ensuite, and then our master bedroom has an ensuite as well. So I think for a lot of people that wouldn't really make a lot of sense, but for us it works really, really well. So I've come to realise that floor plans don't always have to make the most sense, and I've stopped beating myself up when my floor plans don't seem to make all the sense in the world. So I've just started to go with the flow and sort of go with what I think's right for the build at the time. Very long-winded way of wording it, but you get my drift. So the dining room's done. As I went on that ramble, this is the living space. I do end up shifting things slightly over to the left because I realised it was quite a tight squeeze for your Sims to come through the archway, because I do end up putting a fireplace and a bookshelf against that wall where just on the right hand side here, there, and it was quite a tight squeeze. So I did shift everything slightly over to the left to give you Sims a little bit more space as they walked in. It was functional at the time of me building, however it felt really, really cramped, so I decided to just go back and revisit that. We do change the bookcase, and we do add a few more plants from the Blooming Rooms kit. I can't remember if I did that on camera or off camera. I do apologise. So if you do download this house, or if you see the screenshots at the end and you see some plants or some items in situ that you haven't seen here, it's because I made some slight changes off camera. I do apologise. I don't want my builds to be an hour long. I appreciate that you guys don't have an hour's time to just sit and watch me do a speed build, so if it's not relevant or if it's not really important to the vibe or the essence of the build, I'll try and take it out and just not include it. So that's my thought process there. And because there are only 2 bathrooms in this build, I did include me decorating them, which is something that I don't normally include in larger builds. But because this was slightly on the smaller side, I decided to include them in this one, because sometimes it's really helpful for you guys to see how I put my bathrooms together, even though they're not the most creative places in the builds. Sometimes, and I know you guys say I quite like it when you include the bathroom, so I try to just keep everyone as happy as I can and content as possible, but sometimes it's not possible for me to include absolutely everything in a build. But again, because this is a smaller house, I decided to include as much as I possibly could. So the living room, I feel like I'm rambling a lot in this build, so I do apologise, but the living room is pretty much finished at this point. You'll just see me going through a couple of different bookcases. I can't remember which one I landed on to finish until like just that's the one that I ended up on. Genuinely can't remember. I'm almost positive I did it off camera because I can't remember me including it. So there was a lot of space in this build where there were some areas where I felt like I just needed to add some items and clutter it up. This is one of those areas. This is like kind of like a hallway leading from the living space to the kitchen space through the archway to the modern extension, quote unquote. So I just decided to put this hallway table from Cats and Dogs here. This is, if you are returning to the channel or if you are a new subscriber, one of my favourite tables in the game. I think it's really, really nice. It's something that I would own in real life if I could find something very similar. I'm very much of the like rustic modern decor vibes when it comes to my real lifestyle. And speaking of that, I did put up a poll on my channel a couple of days ago just saying, you know, we've moved into our new house, would you guys like a real life house tour? And the response generally was that you guys wanted one. Now I don't know whether to wait until we've put our Christmas decorations up, because I saw 1 or 2 comments that said I'd love to see how you decorate your house for Christmas. So we'll see. I definitely want to get it up as soon as I can, and we're going to see what that looks like. But I'll basically take you through a tour of my house in real life, and so I can show you guys what we're doing, what we've done, what the plans are, because it seemed to be quite a sort of like a popular opinion. Anyway, going off on another ramble. This is the downstairs bathroom. It's a full bathroom, it's not a half bathroom, so it does have a shower, a toilet and a sink, which is absolutely fantastic. I'm just trying to remember if I included a bath in the upstairs bathroom. I suppose we'll have to wait and see. It's been a day or 2 since I finished this build, so I can't remember. I think I finished this build 2 days ago. What day are we on today? No, 3 days ago. I finished it on Friday. Yes, Friday afternoon I finished this, and I was initially going to put this build up on Friday, but I was working over the weekend, so I needed to get some stuff done for work over the weekend. Anyway, this is the upstairs. 2 bedrooms and 1 bathroom up here. I think, yeah, the bathroom's not an ensuite, so the master bedroom does not have an ensuite. Again, due to the fact, that this is a cottage, I don't think that's unrealistic to assume that there would just be 1 main bathroom and a bathroom downstairs. A lot of older cottages maybe wouldn't have a master bedroom with an ensuite unless it had been entirely renovated. The idea behind this house was that the floor plan was pretty much the same as when the house was built. Don't ask me when it was built. It's an old house. I don't have the answer to that. So this is the twin children's room, and I actually am really, really happy with how this came out with the colour schemes and everything that we decided to go for. I wanted to keep the sort of nature theme going through this particular bedroom, and you'll see me just playing around with some of the new plants from the new kit that we've just received. Hands down the best kit I think we've received so far. You guys will have to let me know what you think down in the comments down below, if you think any differently or if you think the same. But I think we were long overdue a plant kit. I think we're also long overdue a base game update that includes some new plants, some new beds, some new sofas. Let me know if you disagree, but I think they need to do something like that. Even if it's just adding 1 or 2 items from each category, I think they need to do something. Just my opinion, but we will see if that comes to fruition. Anyway, while I've been rambling on, as I normally do, this bedroom is almost done. I wanted to add a few detailings in here because I wanted this room to look really lived in, but also like maybe mum and dad, or mum or dad, whoever is taking care of these kids, kind of clean up after them. This is the master bedroom. I initially struggled to find a colour scheme that I was happy with, because when I do houses, I like the colour schemes to kind of flow throughout the house. I don't like each room to have a totally different colour scheme to the last. In the past, before anyone says anything, I have done builds where the children's rooms stick out like a sore thumb, and I'm trying to come away from that. I'm trying to come away from like the kids' rooms looking like they don't belong in a build, and I'm trying to make it look like they belong. And so hence me doing the colour scheme that I did in the kids' room in this house. I'm trying. My main goal every time I do a build is to make it better than the previous build I have done. So I'm always just looking to improve. It's like a constant just thing for me. As long as I'm improving upon myself and you guys are enjoying what I'm putting out there, I consider that a success. Going on another ramble, the main bedroom, it's rather large, but there's not a lot going on in here, so this actually ends up coming together quite quickly. And I wanted to include a wardrobe in this room, and I've just realised I feel like at the bottom of that wardrobe there are some stickers. Like some stickers that make it look like maybe it belongs more in a teenager's room. You might want to change the wardrobe if you place this house and play in this house, because I'm just looking at it now. Are those stickers on the bottom of that wardrobe? That's embarrassing. Anyway, let's pretend we don't see it. Pretend we don't see it. You can replace that with a different wardrobe, or you could put something else there entirely. You do what you gotta do, because that's already annoying me. The space in this room threw me off for a moment. The wall space along with the floor space as well, because I didn't really know what else to put in the corners to make it look like it was lived in, to make it look a little bit more cozy. And I didn't want to just leave it blank because the rest of the house is quite cluttered. So I did struggle for a moment, but then I ended up finding my groove. This is the last room in the house that we end up working on, which is the main bathroom of the house. I'm really happy with how this came out. It's very similar to the one downstairs, but this does have a shower and a bath, so it's a complete full bathroom, which is fantastic. I love bathrooms that have a bath and a shower because I think they're really helpful for your Sims. But I'll start wrapping up now. I feel like I just keep talking and talking and talking, and then I leave myself like 20 seconds to do the outro for my videos. Anyway, you can grab this house from the gallery. My origin ID is RachelPedd. Tray files, as always, are linked down in the description box below. You can get them for free from Sim File Share. But thank you so much for joining me here today, everyone. I hope you guys really like the house. Please let me know down in the comments down below what you think of it. Please take care, and I will see you next time I post a video. Bye!